It has been well documented that significant land value increases due to speculation is already occurring due to the plans to increase major density. Implementing towers precedents will only expand that speculation. What data justifies the amount of growth that would require the scale of development for major towers that inflate land values outside of the downtown?
I'll ask Chris Robinson to come and address that question.
Thank you, Councillor Hardwick. Chris Robertson, Assistant Director, Citywide and Regional Planning. It is a good question, a complicated one. We did, at the onset of the Broadway plan, introduce a development cost expectation, which both set out future potential CAC rates and prioritized or identified certain priorities around housing and childcare, which we did see effectively. Despite the notion that we've been talking a long time about having, appropriate transit-oriented development as part of the UBC extension or the Broadway subway phase 1 line and the extension potentially to UBC. So we had already been talking about that transit-oriented form at station locations, rapid transit station locations, and we did see things like the DCE actually counter that.
So you're saying that speculation is not going to happen and it's not going to inflate land values through this rezoning?
I can't sit here and say that, but this is not a rezoning. It's setting out a future plan without getting into the rezoning. Rezoning will come as part of the implementation. But I can't speculate on what the market will do. It does its own thing.
Okay, I'll leave it there. I'll move on to my next question. Since so much development is, redevelopment rather, is promoted in this plan, this would significantly increase the embodied carbon footprint of the city. How does this reconcile with the city's policy to reduce its carbon impacts?
Doug Smith, Director of Sustainability. Thank you, Councillor. The embodied carbon of existing buildings and new buildings are definitely a concern when you're looking at new construction. However, existing buildings over the full life cycle compared to newer buildings actually have higher carbon footprints. If you look at the requirements for greenhouse gas reductions in new buildings and our reduction in embodied emissions, there's about a 10-year payback before a brand new building is actually greener than an older existing building. So it doesn't take too long before over the life of that building. On top of that, we are working significantly to reduce our embodied carbon for all new construction.
How much time I got left? I'm interested to hear how you would respond to the criticism that this plan is imposing its so-called values on the residents of Vancouver.
It is very much in line with the community values that have been developed through our public engagement.
Okay. The proposed, well, we're not talking about rezoning. So the current plan, though, will override the existing community plans and extensive planning done by the communities, many of which were only completed a few years ago. I know you weren't here, but the former council pulled the plug really on planning that was underway that had carried on up until the early 2000s. Why are the existing community plans not informing the Vancouver plan rather than the other way around?
The existing community plans, particularly the visions, as Andrea said, were never completed, and they certainly didn't contemplate the increased housing capacity that we need to address our housing affordability crisis today or the climate crisis.
What do you see this as promoting development or managing development?
I think
promoting growth or managing growth?
This is managing growth in a much more equitable way than what we have seen in the past.
I'm out of time, but it's certainly a debate. Thank you.